The Wife is First. Volume 1, Planning Ahead. Chapter 13, Salt Distribution License. The next day, Mu Hanjiang woke up in Jing Shao's embrace. Warm breath fluttered on his neck, and a slender leg rested on his body, pressing on one of his legs until it felt a little numb. Feeling out of sorts, he shifted a little, which made the person holding to slowly woke up. Gently exhaling, his husband called out in a languid, nasal sound, "Jun Cheng. It's time to get up." Mu Hanjiang moved again. Unexpectedly, the person who was holding him didn't let go but actually hugged him closer instead. "I don't even have to go to the morning court, what's the hurry?" Jing Hao buried his face into the person in his embrace and rubbed at him a few times. "Doesn't your highness have an appointment with Master Li today?" Mu Hanjiang wanted to add that after breakfast, the other consorts would come to pay their respects and that he didn't know what he would do if they saw that the two of them were still in bed. Jing Hao still unwillingly dawdled for a while before he got up. In his previous life, after he started his third military expedition, he basically never had the chance to sleep in like this. After being put in prison, the chances of doing so became even less as they only had the ice-cold limestone slab and filthy hay to lay down on. Therefore, he now found himself to be more inclined towards warm and pure things. He looked at Mu Hanjiang, who was gracefully putting on his outer robes. Today, he was wearing snow-white garments from head to toe, and he felt that this person was not even tainted by a speck of dust. Jing Shao supported his head with one hand, lying down sideways on the bed as he watched a ray of sunlight illuminating his wife, who seemed like an exiled immortal from heaven. As if in a trance, he thought, this person must be this world's warmest and purest existence. The meeting with Li Yanqing was arranged at noontime, so after eating breakfast Jing Shao didn't rush to go out. He sat on the Luhan bed and accompanied his wife to drink tea. The second consort and the two concubines came to give their greetings. Ji Shi came in to report. After Mu Hanjiang nodded, Song Lingzin and the two concubines walked in to give their greetings to the prince consort. Seeing that Jing Hao was also there, they naturally offered their salutations to him first. When concubine Lu rose, she was a little slower than others. She seemed to be unwell and her body swayed before she was noticeably falling forward. Mu Hanjiang subconsciously reached out to catch her, but unexpectedly Jing Shao reacted even faster. With one move, he was already hauling her up. What a joke! Falling like this, did she intend to fall headfirst into the arms of Jun Cheng? "Your Highness," the pretty concubine Lu lifted her pair of beautiful, autumn water-like eyes and looked at Jing Shao. "This lowly concubine was feeling unwell and accidentally collided with you." Mu Hanjiang's hand that was stretched out took a sharp turn, picking up the teacup on the table instead and sipping a mouthful. He acted as if he had not seen anything. Jing Shao wrinkled his brow and seemed to be blind the intentions in those autumn water eyes. The fifth-rank concubine falling like this reminded him of how in the previous life, she seemed to have fallen into his arms while they were in the garden, wherein she also gave him such smoldering looks. As a result, he ended up pampering her for a period of time. However, when the Prince Cheng's residence ran into misfortune, this woman mysteriously disappeared. Now, he could only assume that since she was sent over by the eldest prince, the evidences presented to convict him of crimes during that year must have been her doing. When concubine Lu saw that Prince Cheng was staring her, she couldn't help but feel happy in her heart. On the outside, she maintained her feeble appearance as if she were too weak to stand up to the wind. Song Lingzin watched the scene with clenched teeth as she sneered in her mind, "This seducing fox." Concubine Li looked at the situation and rolled her eyes. She retreated to the side and remained quiet. "Your Highness Prince Consort Cheng, the thing that this concubine mentioned yesterday," Song Lingzin stepped forward, breaking the strange atmosphere in the room. "I have already given it to Duofu." Mu Hanjiang lowered his eyes as he blew at the tea foam on the surface and lightly sipped a mouthful of hot tea. "I discussed it with His Highness. You are still in charge of the household matters for this month. On the second day of the next month, you will hand over all the account books in your hands. The smile on Song Lingzhen's face suddenly became stiff, and in the blink of an eye she looked towards Jing Xiao. However, Jing Xiao just turned his head and looked at Mu Hanjiang and said, "Then won't you start to get busy next month? There are indeed many matters to consider. If the prince consort wants to take over the household affairs next month, this one is afraid His Highness will be busy for a long time." Seeing Jing Xiao's interruption, Lady Song's eyes ignited with hope again and hurriedly went along with it. "Naturally this one will be a bit busier than at the moment. Either way I have nothing to do right now," Mu Hanjiang said to Jing Xiao. "Then this prince will take advantage of you not having anything to do to take you out to play for a few days." Jing Xiao knitted his brow. As they were in the presence of the concubines, he also did not want to say too much. Song Lingzhen's smile became more rigid with her complexion turning a little blue. She brought the two concubines to retreat. When they exited, she ferociously pulled at the handkerchief in her hands. The two concubines looked at each other and concubinely stepped forward to say, "I have always been thinking of the scented tea we had at sister's place before." Song Lingzhen glanced at them. She used to think that the presence of these two women was irksome. Now that she had met a formidable enemy, she must win these two to her own side first. Thus, after saying a few courteous words, she invited the two of them to go to the small pavilion for tea. He is a man and yet he wants to involve himself in the running of the household. Isn't he losing face for all scholars out there? In the small flower pavilion, Song Lingzhen put the teacup down on the table heavily. "He is being favored right now. I'm afraid that sister won't be able to compete with him." The fifth-rank concubine Lu narrowed her pair of fox eyes. The difference between her previous demeanor and at that moment was extreme. "But I heard that in the 2 days that His Highness stayed overnight in the East Courtyard, they did nothing together," concubine Li smiled. "The morning after in the bridal chamber, he already fell ill and I heard that the injury wasn't light. I believe that he had formed some sort of agreement with His Highness." "What do you mean by this?" This time, Song Lingzhen's heart became spirited. Concubine Li's relationship with those servant girls was good and the people in Prince Cheng's courtyard would also pass her information. "I heard that when he was taking medicine that day, His Highness and the prince consort has some sort of quarrel. Also, something about divorce documents has been mentioned." Concubine Li relayed with full confidence the news she had inquired about. "If it's like this, then His Highness must be planning to find a suitable opportunity to divorce him." Concubine Lu timely added in her opinion. "Humph, if this is the case, then once he took over the management of the household then there would be plenty of opportunities to find a reason for divorce." A smile reappeared on Song Lingzhen's face. Within this month, she would take the opportunity to leave a perfect setup for the prince consort. The prince, who was being discussed by the group of concubines, was currently sticking to his wife as he watched him paint. "Why did His Highness went out to practice martial arts yesterday?" Mu Hanjiang saw him staring fixedly at himself and looked for a topic to chat about with him. "I went looking for someone to spar with." Jing Hao rested his upper body on the table, very inquisitive about Mu Hanjiang's dexterous brush strokes. "What are you painting?" "A longevity painting for a birthday offering." The weasel bristle brush between his fingers freely stroked across the fine paper like moving clouds and flowing water. "Next month is my father's birthday. The last time we spoke, I discouraged him from getting involved in salt distribution business and instead had him go northwest to trade in horses." Jing Xiao remembered that matter when they went to visit his wife's family and blurted it out. "Trade in horses?" Mu Hanjiang's brush tip paused and an extra black dot was formed on the mountain at the bottom, so he hurriedly added a few strokes, turning it into moss. Some things couldn't be discussed right now so Jing Xiao didn't plan to explain it further. He got up and picked up a brush and said, "When making a longevity painting, there's no need to take so much trouble. Here, I'll paint one for you." Mu Hanjiang spread out a piece of paper for him and was excited to see what he wanted to paint. Then he saw Jing Shao brandishing his brush with such vitality, swishing down a few strokes, and then an ugly turtle vividly appeared on the paper. This, the corner of Mu Hanzhang's mouth twitched. Is this a longevity painting? 1,000-year-old tortoise or an 80,000 years old soft-shell turtle? Isn't this more like an offering for the elderly? Jing Shao declared, immensely pleased with himself. Although this was disrespectful to his father, Mu Hanzhang couldn't help but laugh out loud. If His Highness gave this painting to father, I'm afraid others would make a joke out of him. Then just send your painting first and wait for your legitimate mother's birthday. You can just send my painting then. Jing Shao raised his painting up and looked at it. Then he turned towards Yunzu on the side and he said, go mount it. As His Highness commands. Yunzu choked back his laugh and rolled up the painting. Seeing that it was almost noon and Jing Shao was still hanging around in the small study room with no intention of going, Mu Hanzhang had to urge him to go out and do his proper business. Come with me. I just need to tell him a couple of things anyways. In the afternoon, I will take you to the outskirts of the city to play. Jing Shao wanted to take Jun Qing to taste the snacks in the south of the city, and then go see if the peach blossoms in his brother manor had blossomed yet. These things were things he had like in the last life, yet haven't had the chance to do them since his return. He really wanted to share them with Jun Qing. Mu Hanzhang was unable to convince him otherwise and thus, could only change his clothes and go with him. At the Juxian restaurant, Li Yanqing happily rubbed his hands as he greeted, Your Highness. Ah, this is. Seeing an unfamiliar face behind Jing Shao, the smile on his face turned somewhat cautious. He is a guest at my residence, Master Jun. His presence won't hinder anything. Jing Shao did not mind and pulled Mu Hanzhang to sit down. I had let you come here today to let you know that his kind of business can't be done anymore. Your Highness. Li Yanqing turned pale with fright. He looked left and right, and then lowered his voice to ask, did something happen? There were some rumors circulating in the imperial court. It is better to exercise restraint. Jing Shao poured himself a cup of wine. Go find Ren Feng, I have told him about the specific regulations. He will tell you what to do in the future. Yesterday, when he went to the summer villa, he had also dealt with the matter concerning the salt distribution business. After Li Yanqing left, Mu Hanzhang was silent for a moment and then asked, what issue did His Highness comes across in court? Jing Shao looked at him and his lips hooked up, smiling, there is nothing at the moment, but has Jun Qing heard the rumors circulating in the capital? Mu Hanzhang lowered his eyes and thought about it, is it about the rumors that Prince Chang can cure children's nightmares? His Jun Qing is really such a smart person, and Jing Shao felt that it was really easy to talk to him. This matter has its cause and effect and they could be dealt separately. But for now, we must deal with the effect first. Mu Hanzhang played with the wine cup in his hands and slowly rubbed his fingers along the edge of the cup. End chapter. The Wife is First. Volume 1, Planning Ahead. Chapter 14, Green Plum. Jing Shao's eyes lit up and he moved to his wife's side to ask, what is the effect? What is the cause? He really did not have a clue what to do about the rumors. He only thought that he could probably make the supposed evidence of his crimes disappear. Recently, he had been keeping a very low profile in the hope that the rumors would naturally slowly die away. The effect is the rumor itself and the cause is the person or the group of people who spread the rumors. Mu Hanzhang looked up at him and saw that he understood, and so he continued, presently, we must resolve the rumor itself. It's been said that public opinion is powerful enough to melt metal, and the mass spreading of rumors can confuse rights and wrongs. The more a rumor spread, the truer it would seem. Perhaps at this time, imperial father-in-law will dismiss it with a laugh, but after a few years it may not be so. Jun Qing. Jing Shao grabbed the hand holding the wine cup. At this moment, he almost thought that Jun Qing was also reborn, but immediately rejected the idea. If he came back, he would have immediately see the difference between the me now and the me in their previous life. But if Jun Qing was not reborn, then his foresight and his intelligence couldn't be underestimated. Your Highness. Mu Hanzhong got confused as he didn't understand why his husband would suddenly grasp his hand like this. You are willing to help me. I am so happy. Realizing that his behavior was a bit abrupt, Jing Xiao quickly explained his reaction but did not let go of the other man's hand. The person whose hand was grabbed felt a little uncomfortable and lowered his eyes. As he took his hand back, he said, "This one have already married, Your Highness. If I don't help you, then who would I help?" Jun Qing. Jing Xiao looked at the person in front of him. This man had the talents to govern and serve the country well, yet he had to wholly give himself in marriage to him. Not only did he not harm him in any way, he was even willing to put forth ideas and suggestions to help him. The him in the past life was really so stupid. He couldn't help but reach out and hold Mu Hanzhong tightly into his arms and declared, "In this life, if you don't abandon me, I, Jing Xiao, will never turn my back on you." Mu Hanzhong distractedly leaned onto his chest. He couldn't understand why his husband was suddenly so emotional. In his heart he thought, is it possible that since this wasn't a good place to talk about such matters that he deliberately interrupted our talk? Thinking that this was a public place where there were many people who could misunderstand things, then they shouldn't rashly talk about such topic. And thus, he also didn't continue with the subject and instead said, "We should eat first." "Right, you must be hungry. Come, let's eat first." Jing Xiao remembered that they had not had lunch yet. Li Yanqing had ordered a table of good dishes, but he himself did not even move his chopsticks before impatiently going to find Ren Feng. Now, if they didn't eat soon, all the dishes would get cold. The two ate their meal but were not in a hurry to return home. Jing Xiao pulled his wife to the main streets to leisurely enjoy a walk. Both of them were unusually handsome and extraordinary men, one in a stern and dignified way while the other was gentle and as pure as a jade. They walked while holding hands as Jing Xiao was pulling his husband by the hand and was refusing to let go, which drew the attention and surprise of most passers-by. "Where are we going?" Mu Hanzhong helplessly let himself be pulled along. As they were in public place, it was no good to call him Your Highness, so he could only omit his title. "We're going to the south of the city," Jing Xiao said as he turned and went into a shop, weighing out 2 caddies of salted melon seeds, and then pulled him into the alleys again, making 7 or 8 turns, before he finally found a shop that looked quite old. The shop had no name. Only a wooden tablet piece was hung on the wall where 2 lines of words were written: "A handsome youth rides by on a horse, aiding the maiden in reaching the green plums above the fence." Crossing the threshold, they entered the store. All the things in the store were made of bamboo, but they were polished spotless. The floor of the store was not paved and was just soil, with the 4 pillars of the room being actually planted living bamboo. The place looked very elegant and tranquil. "It's a nice place." Mu Hanzhong could not help but praise it. Ha ha ha, the gentleman did not disdain this shop for being simple and crude. He must be quite a cultured person. A rather clear and bright woman's voice came from the back door. Looking over, they saw a woman who seemed to be in her 30s, dressed in a plum pink zone dress, holding a jug while walking in from the back garden. "Maiden May, I trust you have been well since we last met." Jing Xiao seemed to be very familiar with this place as he smiled and greeted the shop's mistress. "Maiden May." Mu Hanzhong gave a glance at the person by his side. This woman was clearly wearing the zone dress of a married woman. Moreover, she was also approaching the age of becoming a mother. Why did he still call the other Maiden May? He was really being frivolous and did not knowing where to stop. Jing Xiao looked back at him with an innocent expression, pulling him to the front of the wine cabinet. "You youngster, still so cheeky." The proprietress put down the wine jar and walked behind the high counter. "What do you want?" "A small bottle of green plum wine, and also 2 wine cups." Jing Hao took out a piece of silver and placed it on the bamboo counter. "Here." The proprietress took the money and put a bottle of wine and 2 wine cups into a small bamboo basket and threw it at Jing Xiao. She looked up and glanced at Mu Hanjiang again. Then she smiled and said, "This gentleman looks unfamiliar, but his bearing is extraordinary. You must be a scholar. I will give you a discount the next time you come to buy." Jing Xiao was suddenly not happy anymore and took the person at his side into his arms as he declared, "He is my newlywed wife. Don't even think about hitting on him. I won't allow it. Get out quickly. Otherwise next time I'll charge you twice the price." The lady boss suddenly changed her expression, holding a bamboo twig and tapping it on the counter, making pa sounds. Jing Xiao smiled and took his family's prince consort and left with quick steps. This store, Mu Hanjiang frowned, feeling things was quite a bit strange. Jing Xiao smiled and stuffed the paper bag holding the melon seeds into his hand, which was also holding the green plum wine basket, to keep his other hand free to pull his wife along as he said, "It's a long story. The woman surnamed Mei was an orphan who had neighbor who was also an orphan. From childhood the two were dependent on each other for survival. The girl had the wine-making technique that was passed through her family's generations, so she made wine at home. The boy would then take it out to sell them, which was their means of livelihood. When the young boy turned 16 years old, he was enlisted into the army, but he said that once he made a distinguished career out of himself, he would come back and marry her. When Jing Xiao was in the army, the man had already become a vanguard. He was always foolishly storing away the silver that was paid to him, saying that it was for when he went home to marry his green plum maiden. It was a pity that in the beginning of the second year of Jing Xiao's enlistment, the man died in battle, and so Maiden Mei had never married. After finishing the story, the two of them had already reached the middle of a peach blossom orchard. The 3rd month is the season when the peach blossoms are in full bloom. By the time that Mu Hanjiang collected his thoughts after musing about the story, his sight was full of the luminous peach blossoms, a vivid pink color as far as the eye could see, continuing on into the horizon. "It's so beautiful," Mu Hanjiang said softly. The scenery was very beautiful as the story he had just heard. Unfortunately, the ending of the story was like the peach pink petals filling their eyes. In the end it could only be carried away by the wind, withered and fallen. Jing Xiao saw that he was a little melancholy and hugged him from behind, putting his chin on the shoulder of the other man. "Brother Wang was a good person. When I first entered the military barracks, I couldn't eat the crude food there and went hungry for many meals. He didn't know that I was a prince, but he still secretly caught a bird and roasted it for me to eat. Thus, he had always been secretly taking care of that maiden Mei. His Highness is actually very kind-hearted." The corner of Mu Hanjiang's lips perked up slightly. Jing Xiao inwardly smiled. Him, kind-hearted? He did not feel that this word had much in common to himself at all. He believed in returning kindness, but he also wouldn't hesitate in taking an eye for an eye. However, if he could change Jun Qing's impression of him with this, then he would just let him think this way. Pulling his family's prince consort along, he walked into the depths of the peach blossoms orchard until not long after, a delicate little pavilion appeared in front of their eyes. "This is such a nice place, why don't we see anyone else here?" Mu Hanjiang opened up their parcel and poured both of them a cup of green plum wine. Jing Xiao smiled. This orchard was a private garden of his brother, Jing Chen. Naturally, no one dared to come in so casually. Just before, Jun Qing was listening to his story too intently and did not notice that on the way here, they entered a small moon gate where 2 imperial guards were posted on both sides. Upon hearing these words, only then did Mu Hanjiang understood why he was brought here. Outsiders could not enter this place, and the surroundings were especially spacious and empty. There wouldn't be people eavesdropping here, so they continued the topic that they were talking about back in Juxian restaurant. If His Highness really does not intend to fight for the throne, then it isn't urgent to restore your reputation. Mu Hanjiang held his wine cup with 2 hands. The cup had been made with a bamboo cylinder. It didn't worth much, but it was particularly charming. But we also can't allow them to continue spreading such malicious rumors as they pleased. The best method to fight falsehoods is with falsehoods. What do you mean? Jing Shao had heard that there was such a method for the first time and could not help but move a little closer. The people who spread these rumors are obviously jealous of the achievements that His Highness have attained. So, all we have to do is find something about Your Highness' opponents and spread something bad about them. It's not important whether it was true or not as long as it's unpleasant to hear. Mu Hanzhang's beautiful eyes slightly narrowed. Looking at him, he seemed somewhat cunning. The common people won't care whether it's true or false. As long as it sounds shocking enough, they will enjoy talking about it and pass it along. As time goes on, the rumor about His Highness will naturally be forgotten. Jing Shao's eyes widened. It seems that Jun Qing had guessed that the source of the rumors was one of his two step-brothers. Though, it could also possibly be the Empress. If they could make up random lies and falsehoods, then so could they. Ha 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 ha, you really are good at explaining things in a way that I can understand, Jun Qing. You are much more devious than me. Jing Shao laughed heartily, but at the same time, he was also rejoicing. If the people helping the Empress were not those stupid lowly concubines of his and was rather the person before his eyes, he feared that in his previous life, he would have died many years earlier. This one was just judging the matter as it stands. Being spoken about by Jing Shao this way made Mu Hanzhang somewhat uncomfortable. He was unconsciously increasing the strength he was using to rub along the edge of the wine cup. Unexpectedly, the edge of the bamboo cup had not been carefully polished and a thin sliver of bamboo pricked his fingertip. The sharp pain caused him to wrinkle his brows. He looked down to see, and a round bead of blood had already emerged. Jun Qing. Jing Shao scuttled over and grabbed his injured hand, skillfully pulling out the sharp splinter. Ouch, the 10 fingers are linked to the heart. Mu Hanzhang couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. More beads of blood came out from the wound, but Jing Shao's next move made him forget to even cry out in alarm. Jing Shao looked at the jade-like finger that kept bleeding. He worriedly sucked it into his mouth, lapping up the beads of blood, and then gently sucked at it a couple of times, to prevent any of the thin splinter from remaining in the flesh. When he raised his head, Mu Hanzhang's face was so red, it looked like he would start dripping blood. Seeing him look like this, he hurriedly lowered his eyes. Peach blossom petals was fluttering about in the wind. Jing Shao only felt that the person who was being bashful and blushing with embarrassment in front of him was as beautiful like a peach blossom deity. He couldn't help but grab his family's prince consort, who was about to emit smoke from embarrassment, and pulled him close, holding the back of his head, and opportunely kissed him. When the scorching touch of those lips grinded against his own, Mu Hanzhang, who had been sneak attacked, didn't resist much. However, when a soft and slippery thing stretched into his mouth and attempted to get him to separate his teeth, he was really stunned. Your Highness, just as he wanted to speak, that nimble thing took the opportunity to push in and gently swept over the top of his mouth. His body trembled as he experienced this unfamiliar feeling. Mu Hanzhang did not know from where he got the strength from, but with one push, he managed to shove Jing Shao out of the pavilion. Jing Shao didn't not expect such reaction and was pushed out of the pavilion. He subconsciously reached out to grab a branch of a peach tree, but that branch was unexpectedly damaged by worms, and with a kaka sound, the branch snapped. And thus, the handsome, imposing, brilliant with outstanding military service recognition and kind-hearted Prince Cheng, who assaulted his wife with lewd intentions all day, fell flat on his back. End chapter. The Wife is First. Volume 1, Planning Ahead. Chapter 15, Going Crazy. The couple had spent the entire day playing outside, so once they returned to the prince estate, it was already dark and way past dinner time. Because the women folk lived in the west courtyard, they locked up a lot earlier than in the east courtyard. And thus, Mu Hanzhong excused the few concubines from paying their evening respects so it won't delay the locking up procedure of the west courtyard for the night. Behind the screen, a tub of hot water was prepared, scent beads given as tribute from foreign lands were added into the water and a layer of fresh peach blossom petals was also sprinkled on top. Mu Hanzhong saw Jing Xiao was undressing and preparing to take a bath. He picked up a book and sat down on the Luhan bed, waiting for him to wash first before he would bathe himself. Yet, he was caught by Jing Xiao. "Jun Qing, you made me fall to the ground today, my butt is still hurting until now." This one, thinking of the thing that happened today, Mu Hanzhang's face flushed red again. He had already apologized to him in the afternoon, how come he was still not willing to forgive him? "When you're apologizing, you must do so with sincerity." Jing Xiao grabbed the other's hand and dragged him behind the screen. "I am wounded. You have to help me bathe." Mu Hanzhong stared at him with big eyes. This was the first time that he heard that injuring one's butt would make it inconvenient to take a bath. I don't kn. No worries, I will also help you wash." Jing Xiao, who was very pleased with himself, took off his clothes until he was completely naked. Taking the lead, he jumped into the tub of water. Seeing that his wife was still blankly staring and standing still where he was, he patted the wooden tub and cajoled, "Hurry and come in, or else I'll punish you to help me apply medicine in a little while." "Apply medicine?" Mu Hanzhong bit his lower lip, helping him apply medicine in that place on the bed, or sit in the tub face to face completely naked together. When comparing both options, either one seemed rather dangerous, but if it was applying medicine, then he could still be fully clothed. "Jun Qing." Jing Xiao found it funny watching his wife bit his lower lip, looking like he was thinking very hard. He only felt that it was extremely cute. "Then, this one will help His Highness apply the medicine." After saying that, he immediately ran out without looking back. Pff Jing Xiao laughed heartily as he lay in the tub. After Mu Hanzhong had also finished washing, he changed into a new set of silk clothes and emerged from behind the screen. He saw a certain imperial prince only wearing an inner garment with no underwear, lying down on his stomach on the bed with a bare butt reading a military strategy book keenly. Your Highness," Mu Hanzhang's face immediately turned red. Why was this person like this? Jun Qing. When Jing Xiao saw his family's prince consort had finished bathing and came out, he hurriedly threw away the military strategy book in his hand and obediently handed over a small bottle. Mu Hanzhong felt powerless and could only climb onto the bed and pour some medicine into the palm of his hand. Looking at that perfectly curved part in front of his eyes, there was only a little bruising on both sides. The rest of it was well-shaped muscles. With one glance, the muscles looked to be full of explosive power, and then if one kept on looking down, one would find two perfectly straight, lanky legs merged together. The sleek muscles made these pair of legs look beautiful and seemed to be brimming with dangerous power. The slippery medicated fluid slid between his fingers, dripping onto that attractive, smooth, and round part. Only then did Mu Hanzhong left his enthralled state and stole a look at Jing Xiao. When he found that the man was not looking at him, he lightly sighed and placed the hand with medicine onto that place. When the warm and soft hand touched him, Jing Xiao immediately regretted it. This skin-to-skin sensation was really too satisfactory, to the extent that his body was rapidly reacting, particularly the part below where his wife was kneading. He could not help but inwardly complain. Right now, Jun Qing have still not gotten over his fear from their bridal chamber, and thus, he could no act on resolving the fire stirring up in him. It's done. Mu Hanzhong climbed out of bed, putting the medicine bottle back in place and also letting his body, that had gotten somewhat hot, to cool down. The depressed Jing Xiao replied with a single sound, still lying there on his stomach without moving. Your Highness, let's sleep. Mu Hanzhong, seeing him not moving, could only climb back into the interior of the bed and help cover him with the quilt. I have medicine on my behind, so I will sleep lying on my stomach tonight. Jing Shao buried his face into the pillow, suffering the disaster he brought upon himself, and resolved himself to sleep lying on his stomach for the whole night. The next day, Jing Shao went out early in the morning to the second prince's house, and discussed with his brother the stratagem he had formulated with Jun Qing yesterday after further consultation. Meanwhile, Duo Fu brought all of the account books over the past years into the small study in accordance to the prince consort's instructions. Your Highness, these are all the accounts from the past 3 years. Do you really want to look through them all? Yunzu looked at the one-chi-high stack of accounting books and gulped. N. Mu Hanshang only lightly responded, dividing the account books into 3 piles, and started to look through the oldest ones. The accounting books are what old bookkeepers should look at. Why do you have to work so hard? Yunzu was somewhat puzzled. The prince consort wanted to learn how to manage the household. If he asked steward Duo how to do it or went to see how the secondary consort did it, then wouldn't it be fine like that? Mu Hanzhong glanced at the frowning young manservant. He laughed but said nothing. There are a lot of useful things contained within the account books, such as the food and clothing expenses for the residents, the relations with the people who come and go from the estate, and any transfers of servants. All of these could be discovered from the account books. In fact, the administration of the country could also be studied this way. By looking at the account books of the Ministry of Revenue, one could learn whether the monarch was muddle-headed or not, and whether this dynasty was prosperous or not. This servant heard that the secondary consort was checking the storeroom's inventory yesterday, and together with some servants she dilly-dallied away an entire morning. Yunzu took advantage of Mu Hanzhong, who was tired of reading and was taking a break to drink some tea, and whispered to him the information he had discreetly sought out himself. I know. Mu Hanzhong rubbed Yunzu's head and rewarded him with a handful of pine nut candies that they had bought yesterday. He couldn't disagree that checking the inventory in the storeroom at this time was definitely to conceal something. Your Highness, monthly portion of silver for the 3rd month was not given by the accountant yet. Yesterday, this servant went to get some writing paper and almost wasn't able to get it. Yunzu ate a pine nut candy. When he spoke about this, he was somewhat angry. Fortunately, the prince consort was a man and lived with his highness in the east courtyard, and so all the expenditures of the east courtyard counted towards Prince Cheng's account. If he was a woman who married in, then wouldn't he not even have food to eat? Upon hearing this, Mu Hanzhong was reminded about how he truly had no silver on his own hands. If there was any urgent matter, it would be difficult to handle. The account books would not be able to be looked over in just a short while, so Mu Hanzhong had an afternoon nap after lunch, and only then did he return to the study. Your Highness have returned. When Mu Hanzhong came out of the bedroom, he bumped into Jing Shao, who was walking in with quick steps and almost had a full-on collision with him. Jing Shao looked straight at him, his eyes were a little red and he didn't look quite right. After seeing who the person in front of him was, he reached out and grabbed his wrist. He turned around and walked out again. Your Highness, oh, Mu Hanzhong, who was being pulled by him, staggered along and almost fell down. He stumbled his way along as he was pulled to the front courtyard. The servants gathered one after another to watch with excitement, whispering about whether the prince consort had offended his highness or not. Jing Shao did not say a word and continued to pull Mu Hanzhong up onto a horse. Then he clamped his legs around the horse's abdomen. Xiao He neighed and rushed out as swift as an arrow. The steed galloped on a road going outside of the capital. Jing Shao dazedly felt that he seemed to have returned to that snowy day before his rebirth, when they were fleeting. These few warm and comfortable days allowed him to forget for a while what frame of mind he had when he opened his eyes once more. Mu Hanzhong, who was leaning on his back behind him, sensed the rage in his heart and slowly hugged his waist tight. Feeling the pressure on his waist, Jing Shao stretched out a hand and gripped his 2 overlapping hands. He madly rushed all the way into his summer villa in the suburbs of the city. He ignored the imperial guard's cries of surprise in the courtyard and rode Xiao He all the way to the practice platform for martial arts. With a light step, he leapt onto the wooden platform, took out a pike and not even looking at who was on the stage, attacked the other and started to fight. Your Highness. Renfeng, who was currently on the stage demonstrating some movements to his subordinates, was startled. He subconsciously raised his hand and caught the maneuver. When he saw that it was Jing Xiao, he hurriedly retreated 3 steps. Unexpectedly, Jing Xiao directly rushed over him. Renfeng turned and pulled out a long rod blocking the spear pole that hacked down above his head. Jing Xiao felt as if he was on the battlefield, fighting for his life, and after a while, he threw Renfeng, who was afraid of hurting him, off the platform. Without an opponent, he continued to brandish the spear on the platform. The silver-colored handle of the spear seemed like a graceful dragon, slashing traces of silver through the air. Mu Hanzhong frowned, watching his husband on the platform, who seemed to have gone mad, and in a low voice, instructed Renfeng to leave the place with the others for now. The sun slid down from the top of the mountain to its foot. The originally gloomy sky began to drizzle with thin drops of rain. Xiao He had already been taken to the stable and the people around the platform had all dispersed. Mu Hanzhong looked onto his husband on the platform, who was still brandishing his silver spear, and slowly walked onto it. Your Highness, it's gotten dark. Mu Hanzhong stood on the platform and calmly said with an even tone. Swish swish. Jing Xiao showed no sign of stopping as he continuously slashed through the air. The red tassel on the spear caused droplets of water to go flying in all directions. Mu Hanzhong clenched his fists. He turned around and drew out a broad blade from the side. He swung his arm and threw it towards him, and he called out, Jing Xiao, calm down. Kuang, dang. The sound of the collision between the spearhead and the steel knife recalled Jing Xiao's reason, as he paused from wielding the spear for a moment. Jing Xiao looked up at him and exclaimed, Ah! He screamed up at the sky once. Then he leapt up high, the silver spear hacking at the top of a wooden stake, splitting it into many pieces. The silver spear fell to the ground as blood dripped down Jing Xiao's fingers onto the ground, mixing with the pattering rain and quickly turning it into a diluted red color. Mu Hanzhong ran over and clasped his right hand. The web between his thumb and forefinger had been split, with bloody blisters appearing on his palm. Mu Hanzhong fished out a handkerchief from his sleeve and pressed it to the wound that wouldn't stop bleeding. Jing Xiao raised his head up to the sky while the rain fell into his eyes and slipped down his cheeks. Jun Cheng. They caused the death of my mother empress, Jing Xiao whispered. The voice was not loud at all but was just like a murmur. Nevertheless, Mu Hanzhong heard it clearly. The Jing Xiao that had used up all of his strength slipped onto the ground. Mu Hanzhong crouched down and slowly hugged him to his chest. Xiao, what happened? Jun Cheng. Jun Cheng. Jing Xiao buried his face into his shoulder. Today, his brother listened to his plan, who was pleased to find that his younger brother had finally grown up. Then his brother started sharing things with him which he hadn't done before. Among these matters was the truth behind their empress mother's death. End chapter.